So now we're going to look at how we can solve quadratic equations by graphing. So the first thing I want to remember is that the highest exponent here is a 2. So that tells me expect to get 2 answers. So when I go to my graph, that's what I'm going to be looking for. Now in order to graph this, what I'm going to do is put the left side of my equation in y1. So in y1, I'm going to put 1/3 x squared plus 2x. And I'm going to put the right side of my equation in y2. So there I'm going to put the 21. So I go to my graphing calculator, I go to the y equals, and in y1 I'm going to put in the 1/3 x squared plus 2x. Now I chose to put my fraction in parentheses so that I can double check my equation and easily tell what I have. And then in y2 I'm putting in the 21. Now I'm going to set my window. I know that in y2 I have to go as high as 21 on the y-axis, so when I look at my window I'm going to go a little bit higher than that. I'll stay with the -10 to +10 on the x's and change my y max to 25. And then to avoid getting a thick line on my grid, I'm going to change how I count on the y's to counting by 2's. 2's, 3's, 5's, something like that. And then I'll graph. Now remember, when we solve by graphing, we're looking for points of intersection. My equation said to expect 2, but I only see 1. I think the other one is going to be to the left, so I need to go back to my window and change my x min. I'm going to make that -20. And then again, I'm going to change my x scale to counting by 2's. And let's see if I can see that other point of intersection. And I can. So I have my 2 points of intersection. Now I just need to find them. Remember, to do that, we do second, trace, and then 5 for intersect. And for this first one, I can just do enter, enter, and enter. So my first point of intersection is at -11.48 for x and y equal 21. Now I want to find my other point of intersection. So again, I do second, trace, 5. But my point of intersection that I'm going to find needs to be over here. In order to get my calculator to find that, I'm going to have to get my cursor to come below or past my vertex. So I'm going to arrow to the right, and I can take some big jumps by doing second right arrow. And I need to get beyond the halfway point. So once I'm started up the other side of my parabola, then I can do enter, enter, enter. And my other point of intersection is at 5.49, 21. So now I'm going to graph that. I'm just going to sketch my graph. So my first point of intersection is over here at -11.49, 21. My second point of intersection, 5.49, 21. Now my picture is not to scale, but that's okay. As long as I label those points, they are where I say they are. And then it says to make sure you do any rounding to the nearest hundredth, so I did that. And now I need to write my solution. My solution would only be the x values. So x is equal to -11.49, or x is equal to 5.49. So I expected 2 answers. I found my 2 answers. And that would be the solution to this first equation. So let's look at one more example. So our second example, negative 2x squared minus 9x minus 5 is equal to 0. Again, I'm going to expect two answers. Since the highest exponent that I see is a 2, to find them, in y1, I'm going to put the left side of my equation, negative 2x squared minus 9x minus 5. In y2, I'll put the right side of my equation, and that will be 0. So going to my graphing calculator, I will clear out my first equation and put in my negative 2x squared minus 9x minus 5. And then in y2, I'll put in 0. Now remember, from the last equation, we modified that window. So get back to a 10 by 10 grid, I'm going to zoom 6, and that will take me to a 10 by 10 screen. So now I am looking for my points of intersection. But keep in mind that we don't see that horizontal because it's actually hidden. Remember that if y equals 0, that's the x-axis. So our points of intersection are actually our x-intercepts this time. To find them, I do second, trace, 5, enter, enter, enter. So my first point of intersection, or my first x-intercept, is at negative 0.65. So now I need to find my second point of intersection. So second, trace, 5. Now I can't just do enter, enter, enter this time. Again, I have to get beyond the vertex, get my cursor headed down the other side. So this time I'm going to arrow to the left, and I can take some big jumps by doing second, left arrow. Okay, now I'm headed down that side, so I can do enter, enter, enter. And the second point of intersection is at negative 3.85. So I'll go back and sketch my graph. So my first point of intersection was at negative 0.650. And the other point of intersection at negative 3.850. I've remembered to round to the nearest hundredth. Now I have to state my solution. I want only the x-coordinate. So x could equal negative 3.85, or x could equal negative 0.65. So I expected to get two answers, and I found them. They would be the solutions to this quadratic equation.